Good morning. On behalf of the Border Solutions Alliance and the West Big Data Hub, thank you so much for joining us today for our lightning talk with Peter Rose, Director of the Structural Bioinformatics Laboratory at the San Diego Supercomputer Center at UC San Diego. This morning, Dr. Rose will spend about 15 minutes providing us with a hands-on demo on how to query the COVID-19 net knowledge graph and develop Jupyter notebooks to analyze trends with population characteristics and viral strain data. We will then have a couple of minutes for questions and answers from the audience. Peter, I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. So I will talking about COVID-19, and we want to integrate different data sources about COVID-19. So this is a collaboration with Ilya Zaslavsky, who will talk right after me. So in the interest of time, let's just go straight in. So the goal is here to integrate various data, biological data, biomedical data, environmental data about COVID-19, so we can analyze the interplay between the host, which is, for example, the human, the pathogen, the virus, and then everything else, which we call the environment. So, for example, we can look at population characteristics, health data, pathogen data, environmental data, local regulations, infrastructure resilience, etc., etc. And we want to link all those data together so we can create forecasts, we can create models about COVID-19, how we can intervene, and we can develop dashboards, which you will see in the next presentation. So what we have developed is a knowledge graph. A knowledge graph connects different types of data together. On the left-hand side, you see our current knowledge graph, which is very busy. So I made a simplification here on the right-hand side. So what we have in this knowledge graph is we have biological data. So for example, various strain data about the virus. We have epidemiological data like case counts, death, and number of persons tested, and hospital admissions, and so forth. And then we have population characteristics. So all those data are linked to a specific location, like a specific city or specific municipality or state, and so forth. So let's see. So let me first explain what a graph is. So we show a simple graph here that just shows some location information. So for example, in the round circles represent nodes in a knowledge graph. So Mexico is a country. Then we have a state, Baja California. We have a municipality, Tijuana. And then we have the city of Tijuana. So, and then those nodes are linked together by relationship. The city of Tijuana is in the municipality of Tijuana, which is in Baja California. So what's in between, that's the relationship. Similarly, for the United States, the example might be San Diego is in San Diego County, and so forth. So in terms of our knowledge graph, those different levels are called the country level, the highest level. One level below, we call the administrative level 1, administrative level 2, and the city level. So this is important to understand what we're going to do next. So with that, going to the next slide here. So we need to represent those relationships in a computer. And the way we're doing this in the knowledge graph is through a query language called Cypher, where we can type in those relationships. So for example, to describe the country of Mexico, we would say country name Mexico. Then we have a relationship in, and Baja California is in the admin 1 zone, and it is in the country of Mexico. So in general, you will see this type of pattern where if something is in parentheses, those are nodes, and everything in brackets are relationships. So those are how we represent data in a knowledge graph. And I will show you now how we can access this knowledge graph of connected information. We can browse that information directly, can do some interactive analysis, but it's not really reproducible. If you want a large-scale study, you really want to have something reproducible. So the data in our knowledge graph is accessible to a Jupyter notebook, and that's an ideal way to do data analysis. And I will show you some examples here. And after Ilya will talk about the dashboards here, so I will skip over that. Okay, so I will just go ahead and do a demo. So what is important for you is everything I'll talk about is as this particular URL. This is a GitHub site. It has all the documentation. You can query the knowledge graph right from there, and you can also run the Jupyter notebooks from this website. And if you want to know more, you can attend my office hours that still need to be scheduled. So let's go ahead with the demo and we'll go a little bit over the about the documentation here. Okay, so let me go to the GitHub site now. Which looks like this. So if you scroll down here, you see a little introduction here. Here's the knowledge graph schema that I talked about, which is very busy. So I broke this up into several subgraphs. So this is a location subgraph I talked about. We have basically mapped the entire world. Today we focus on the area of countries, the administrative zone 1, 2, and the city level. We have also lower level data at the zip code or postal level area, as well as the track level. We have epidemiology information like cases, like death and a number of tests and ICU admissions, etc. The cases are linked again to specific locations here, as well as the virus strains are located to specific locations. We have biological data like mutation information. I'll skip over that in the interest of time. More importantly are the population characteristic data, which we get from the American Community Survey. And right now we're including 4 types of data: social characteristics, housing, demographics, as well as economic status like employment, occupation, people have health insurance or not, etc., etc. So that's the type of information we currently have in the knowledge graph. So you can launch our knowledge graph directly from this website here. So you can click here on Launch Neo4j browser, and you can get right into our knowledge graph here. So let's have a look at Baja California. So if I go here, if you remember the admin 1 zone, that's the states. So if we go to admin 1, it shows us 25 states, yes, randomly from the world, but we are interested in Baja California. So if we run this query, we find the state of Baja California. So if I click on it, we can expand this. We have some information about it. So for example, we know the location here at latitude and longitude, name, and the population here. We can then expand this node. And you see we have lots of information about Baja California. So first of all, Baja California is in the country of Mexico. So that's this relationship here. In green is the country. Then Baja California has municipalities like Mexicali and Ensenada and so forth. And then we have in gray, those are COVID numbers. So if I click on a specific one, we can look down here and say this is from February 6th. We had 0 cases and I guess no death. There are no deaths listed here. So we have all the information about the COVID numbers there. And then let's go to the Tijuana municipality, which is this one here, admin 2. So we can expand this. And what we see then is more information about Tijuana municipality. So we see the cities in the municipality, like yes, Tijuana itself and the other cities. In green, those are different virus strains that have been found there. And then in gray, those are again, epidemiology data found in Tijuana. So this is the way you can explore the knowledge graph. Now, if you want to do data analysis, this is not going to help you very much. This is more for exploration here. So what I'm going to show you next is how we can use Jupyter notebooks to look at or analyze the data. And let me just go right here. So you can launch Jupyter notebooks directly from this GitHub page, which is right down here. There's a link. If I can find it. So here you can launch Jupyter notebooks directly in your web browser. No software installation is required. And down here is a list of example notebooks that I've prepared for you. For example, if you're interested in how do you get demographic information or housing information, there are example notebooks there. So rather than running it there, I will just run this in my own on my own computer here and show you a few examples here we can do. So first of all, let's have a look at COVID case rate in the various states of Mexico here. So this is a Jupyter notebook in case you haven't seen it yet. So I will just quickly run this through. And there are two metrics we can choose. We can look, for example, at a confirmed rate of COVID or death rate. And then, as I showed you, we're using the Cipher query here. So for example, here we want to find all states in Mexico. So we say the country is Mexico, and we want to find all the admin one, the states, and then find all the cases reported for COVID-19. We take the data, normalize them by 100,000, by a population of 100,000. So here you see, the different states in Mexico, dates, confirmed rate, death rate, cases, and the population of the various states. And then we can, plot this here, and you can see the cases per 100,000 citizens in the different states. So here's Baja California. You see Baja California, so it's almost twice as high as Baja California. So this is a notebook that shows you basically how to get the data. And let's do some data analysis with that using some of the population characteristics. So this is now for the US. So we're going to analyze, let me run this notebook first and then I explain it. So here we can choose a state within the US. So we choose California, we look at the confirmed rate. And then we get demographic information for that specific state. And then we want to look at risk factors, which are those population characteristics. So for example, we look at the percentage of the population that is in low income category, that has no health insurance, works in service occupation, maybe be more exposed to working with other workers, having low education level, like no high school diploma, high occupancy housing, where many people live in the same household, average household size. So that kind of data are the population characteristics. And here we show how we get those data, and we calculate percentages of that. And then we plot that. So this plot down here shows, so every line in this plot, I can get rid of this color here, let's see. So every line represents a county in California, and the ones that are red have a higher percentage of low educational achievement. You see that in counties where the percentage of the population in low educational level have a higher rate of COVID infection than the blue ones, which have a low rate of COVID infection and have a higher education level. So there's some correlation here. I mean, this is a very preliminary and qualitative assessment here that you can do by correlating population characteristics with COVID data. And then we can look at the data on a per county basis. So for example, you see in Imperial County, there's a high rate of infection compared to other counties. Also, the Central Valley in California is more affected. If you look here, it's Merced County, Kings County, and what else do we have here? Yeah, so for example, San Diego County looks actually pretty good. It's in the blue region here. So let me see. I think I'm probably almost up as my time. So this gives you an example, So we have many more examples. I don't have time to go through that, but it's all available by yourself. You can run any of the notebooks by clicking on this link that I showed you before, which is right here. And those are the different notebooks that you can run from here. And then you can do your own research. You can run those notebooks on your own computer, and there's some instructions down here on the bottom how you would install the software. And you can run all those Jupyter notebooks by yourself. So with that, I'm going to go back to my summary slide now. So, and again, if you want to learn more, please come to one of my office hours. So what I've shown you is basically a quick tour of this knowledge graph. And currently, as I said, we have biological information, which I didn't show you, but I showed you how we can access epidemiology and population characteristics. And in the future, we want to add new information to it. So if you have any ideas about additional data we want to add here specifically for Mexico, I think Melissa will talk about Mexican data tomorrow. So hopefully we can add some of those data too in this knowledge graph. And the nice thing about it that all those data are linked together to specific locations. So you can ask for a specific area and figure out, get me all the data available for that, and then look at various correlations. So with that, I want to just thank the NSF and my collaborators that have helped with this project. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for your presentation. We have a couple of people joining us here live online, and so now I'd like to take the opportunity to open the floor to questions and answers if folks have them, or as Peter mentioned, he'll also be holding office hours where you can connect with him directly to discuss your questions. There's a Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen, so that would be a good place to let us know if you have a question, and then if I can also let you ask your question out loud if that's easier. So if you do have a question, would you either raise your hand or let me know in the Q&A function so that we can give you the mic. So Bailey has asked where we should find the office hours. So our office hours will begin next week, and they'll run for a couple of weeks. And so we'll make the schedule of office hours live by the end of this week, if not a little bit sooner. And those will be on our website. We'll also be sending an email out to let people know when they're posted. If you've registered basically for any of our sessions or through any of the survey forms, you'll get that information by email. Do we have any other questions from the group? If we don't have any other questions at the moment, Peter, I'd like to know from you what was the genesis of this project? What drove your team to begin this work, and how do you envision it being used, or how has it been used so far?
Yeah, so last year we were working on a different kind of grant where we want to integrate biomedical data with location data. Like, any infectious disease, whatever, the flu or Ebola, it's all related to specific location. That's kind of specific about it. So we wrote this grant and got a phase 1 funded in general to map biological data onto locations, which is shown here. You see the biological data in green, the locations in blue here. So that's how we started. And then in January, COVID came along. We thought, oh, this is really a nice use case for us. So that's when we started working on COVID-19, because that fits extremely well in this idea of an open knowledge network. So the National Science Foundation is trying to create an open knowledge network where you connect all kind of heterogeneous information about almost about anything, anything scientific or engineering together. So this was a nice use case for us, and we really, trying to connect more information. So hopefully through this Mexico Data Challenge, we'll be able to apply. This is more like a prototype right now. Hopefully we get new data like the Mexico data, and then hopefully maybe with help of some students, we can develop some nice analysis on top of this data that we have here. So that's our goal here.